And the first slide is for the lawyers. I'll read it really fast. This work is my attempt to distill into haiku the summary for policymakers of the Working Group 1 contribution to the 5th Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 5th Assessment Report. The result is solely my own creation, so any views or opinions expressed herein are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. government, the IPCC, or any other entity. All right. So, I was involved in the 5th assessment report for the IPCC. It's a comprehensive assessment of the science behind climate change. It took 5 years from scoping to approval, and I'm not going to read through the rest of this, but I was one of 209 lead authors, and it was a massive effort. We had to respond to over 54,000 review comments over 3 rounds of review. So it's really comprehensive. The full report is here, weighs 8.5 pounds. It's 14 chapters on various parts of the climate system, and it is kind of dense. It was distilled down into a summary for policymakers, which is optimistically termed a brochure. If you give scientists 27 pages, even though the head of the IPCC was really emphasized clear communication, this is still written, it's very dense. There is a one-page summary, actually, that I recommend you look at, and the website is here at climatechange2013.org. These are worth reading. But I boiled it down unofficially. I was sick at home one weekend trying to read this, and it was, and I thought if I took it into haiku, each of the 19 points, that would help me. And so this has 3 categories: history, observations, that deals with observations. Understanding changes is understanding the physics and the chemistry of climate change, both past and future. And then future is based on projections, based on those observations and the understanding. So let's dive right in. History. History, Earth. Big, fast carbon surge. Ice melts, oceans heat and rise. Air warms by decades. History, air. Carbon increases. Air warms through century past. More heavy rains fall. History, water. Abyss warms, coasts flood. Air moistens, salt patterns shift. Carbon sours oceans. History, ice. Glaciers and ice sheets melt worldwide, speed increasing. Sea ice and snow retreat. Water meets earth. Seas rise as they warm. Rates quicken last century. Melting ice joins in. History, fire. Burning fuel, farming trap heat and sour the oceans beyond human ken. Understanding changes. CO2, methane, warm despite sunspots, dust, soot, clouds, and volcanoes. Models. Models of climate improve with time and details, capture big patterns. Attribution. Our industry has warmed oceans, air, lands, changed rains, melted ice, raised seas. A pause. Recent air warming slowed by volcanoes and sun. Seas sequester heat. Response. We burn more carbon, air warms for decades, but seas for millennia. And future. The future. 40 years from now, children will live in a world shaped by our choices. Future air. Arctic will warm most and land more than sea. Too hot. Still, choices matter. Water meets air. Wet will get wetter and dry drier since warm air carries more water. Future water. Oceans will warm, yes, deep and wide, changing currents that flow around the world. Future ice. Glaciers, snow recede. No Arctic summer ice soon. Frozen earth melts too. Water meets earth too. Glaciers melt, seas warm, giant polar ice sheets stir, seas may rise faster. Future fire. Warming land, sour sea, melting frozen earth may spew carbon back to air. And future reprise. Fast, strong action will reduce future warming, but rising seas certain. So if you want to see these again, the Sightline has them posted in a blog post from December 2013, and there's sites for more detail. Thank you.